There are giants who believe the world belongs to them. They build their empires in towers of glass and steel, where the fate of millions is decided in the silence of an algorithm, in boardrooms we will never be invited to. Their power seems absolute, an immovable force etched into the steel and concrete of the cities they command. They believe the game is theirs, that they set the rules, and that we are merely pieces on their board. And then there's the rest of us. Hidden in the privacy of our rooms, in the messiness of our lives, lit only by the flicker of a monitor. We are anonymous, a faceless crowd connected by the invisible web that envelops the planet. We are the ones who work at night, who dream by day, who invest what little we have with the hope of a better future. We are invisible to them, until we are not. But sometimes, a single question, whispered in the right place, changes everything. An anomaly in the system, a crack in the monolith that seemed impenetrable. A miscalculation, an overabundance of confidence from the giants. Someone, somewhere, staring intently at a screen in the middle of the night, realizes the emperor has no clothes. They see a vulnerability that no one else had spotted, and they share their idea in the darkness. First, it's a whisper on a forgotten internet forum, a message lost among thousands. Then, an echo that resonates. Someone else sees it, and then another. It becomes a conversation, a debate, a digital snowball starting to roll downhill. A simple, almost insane idea. What if for once the little guys could win? What if we could use their own tools against them? And thousands of people, without knowing each other, from every corner of the world decided to believe. From workshops and makeshift home offices, from kitchens and college dorms, a digital army mobilized in silence. Each mouse click was an act of faith, a small stone cast at the giant. There was no leader, no central organization, just a shared conviction, a meme, a common cause that united strangers into a single purpose. They pushed together against all logic, against all the experts who said it was impossible. A tide of anonymous wheels challenging the titans of finance. The line on the chart, the one the giants had bet would fall, began to tremble. It stopped. It hesitated. And then, with unstoppable force, it began to climb. It became a rocket, defying gravity and the logic of the powerful, and the giants began to tremble. In their panoramic offices overlooking the city, panic replaced arrogance. Phones rang off the hook. Emergency meetings were called. Red numbers bloomed on their screens like a plague, erasing fortunes, erasing decades of dominance with every passing second. The complex system they had built to enrich themselves was turning against them, and they didn't understand why. For a moment, they were kings. Anonymous heroes of a digital revolution, watching life-changing numbers materialize out of thin air on their screens. For the first time, they felt the playing field had been leveled. They celebrated a victory that seemed impossible, one that wasn't just theirs, but belonged to everyone. They toasted to fortune, yes, but mostly to community, to the feeling of having shown the world that power could, in fact, change hands. But the game was always rigged. Just at the climax, when victory seemed absolute, when the rocket was at its peak, the system fought back. Not with algorithms or market strategies, but with a simple click. The gates were closed. The people's weapon was disarmed. The rebellion was silenced, and what goes up is sometimes brutally pushed down. The rocket ran out of fuel mid-flight and plummeted with the same violence with which it had ascended. Euphoria turned to ash. In thousands of rooms around the world, the faceless crowd watched helplessly as their gains evaporated, as their dreams shattered against the harsh reality of a system designed, above all else, to protect itself. They looked for someone to blame. The system investigated itself in televised hearings and formal committees. They brought the visible leaders to trial, both those at the top in their expensive suits and those at the bottom testifying from their gaming rooms. Fingers were pointed, blame was shifted. But in the end, they only found a reflection of their own system. A game where, if the wrong players start to win, the rules can be rewritten mid-match. The rebellion lasted only a few days. The money vanished as quickly as it came. Lives were changed, for better and for worse. But the idea, that is forever. The memory that, for one brief, glorious moment, a group of nobodies made the foundations of the financial world tremble. Not with weapons, not with political power, but with pure collective will. Simply because they chose to act as one. And that is a memory no system can ever erase.